quick, we got to real quick. First things first, my name is Kenneth Burr. My company's Black Series Edition LLC. This is hilarious. I know people, I've met people in life who don't have a grasp on reality, but this guy is so far out of tact with reality, it's not even funny. So, this individual clearly believes, man, you'd be easy for a cult member, I swear, because you just so easy to basically, you pretty much would believe anything. But this is hilarious. This is the most funny thing I've ever heard in copyrights. First of all, the individual doesn't own any copyrights. Doesn't know how to file for a copyright, doesn't know how to register a copyright, doesn't know anything about copyrights whatsoever. So let me explain something to you about this individual. He believes that the copyrighted material we have here by United States government that is registered to us, that cube, all that belongs to us. This is what we submitted, 2D artwork, this is ours. All right. So he believes that this copyright right here belongs to somebody else. Now, let me explain something to you, Jamie, so you can give you a grasp on reality and educate you at the same time on how dumb you are and how you sound stupid at the end of the day because you say the dumbest things I've ever heard on camera. Do you have any idea how big a lawsuit that the United States government can get hit with if they made a mistake and they turned around and they gave some company a copyright that literally belonged to someone else? This is why it's called a copyright search, a patent search. They do all these searches to make sure that nobody owns the right to that name. Do you have any idea how big a lawsuit, how big of a mistake that would be? Now, in order for me to get that registration number right here, where I can type this up and come on their database, that means that my copyright would have to be registered by the United States government. And in order for me to get that copyright, they have to do something called a search, which means they have to go in and they have to find out if there's anybody else with that copyright, because that would be completely unfair if you were to they were to give you a copyright and it belonged to somebody else, and you make your company on this, you run your business on this, and somebody comes up later and says, hey, that's mine first. Do you have any idea how much you can sue the government for that? You can sue the government. It's a beyond multi-million dollar lawsuit. And the government is not in the business of getting sued for dumb stuff like that. So that's why they do that detailed search to make sure that nobody has that name at all. Jamie, to insinuate that someone has that cube before we do you have any idea how big of a lawsuit we can slam the United States government with? And they went out and didn't do a proper search, gave me a registration number for a copyright, making it believe it was mine when it was never mine to begin with. Do you have any idea? If that was the case, they couldn't even go forth and basically file out and give me a docket number to go to court because, again, I would have to have enough substantial evidence, which one of the things you do need is you have to show that you have a legit registered copyright. Now, in order for me to get that filing date and to get that docket number to begin the whole process, they have to go through records and go, okay, this is a real deal. He's got the real document here. It's definitely registered with the government. It's definitely ours. We can go forth on this because he has something to stand on. This is worth our time taking it to court. Now, your accusations are someone owns the rights to this before we do. Do you have any idea how big a lawsuit that I can hit the government with if I find out that the very copyright that they gave me a legit certified registration number attached to it didn't belong to me and belonged to somebody else? I don't have to worry about that person suing me because they couldn't touch me with a 10-foot pole because I'd be cleared of all damages because the government triggered all that off to begin with, which means they would be reliable for it. You don't know anything about law. And this is coming from a person at the end of the day who definitely can't measure, can't spell, and doesn't know the size of a proper screen size. And I'm going to believe you at the end of the day. You don't have to convince me. You understand me? You don't have to convince me in messages. You got to convince that judge. That's who you got to you have to be able to convince. Keep in mind, this is not your normal judge. This is a judge that specializes in copyright infringements, trademark infringements. That's what it's a particular group. It's not a regular courtroom. It's a particular courtroom designed for that particular purpose only. Now, if that judge felt that there was enough, that board, when we sent that information, felt there was enough information to file, then you are going to court and you are going to get sued and you're going to pay me the money you're supposed to pay me. Now, I know you want to go out there and start these fake rumors by saying that we don't own the rights. But again, anybody with basic common sense would know at the end of the day that's the dumbest thing that anyone can possibly say. Because that means the government issued me a copyright belonging to someone else. And no, they didn't do that. that copyright has been mine for quite some time. I've had the copyright for at least, I say about 4 or 5 years, easily. About 4 or 5 years, maybe about 4 years. All right, so let's go over here to copyright search. Copyright search. Let me see. That's the copyright board. That's the CCB. This right here is the CCB right here. This is where we filed for Jamie. This is the copyright board right here. You have to have a grasp on reality, man. You don't have this grasp on reality. This is Copyright Small Claims and Copyright Claims Board. This is with United States government right here. All right, Jamie, this is where the court was, this is where the paperwork and everything was filed. I did the document right online. Now, do you have any idea if your accusations are right and somebody owns the right, you claim you talked to this person, you contacted this person, how come this person hasn't contacted me? How come that person hasn't contacted the government and say, hey, look, you guys messed up. You turned around and gave somebody else my copyright work, and the government would have contacted us. So no one's contacted me at all, period. So what's going on? Yeah, it's a lie. You live in this world that doesn't exist. So Jamie, again, let me explain something to you. The only way, and if the government did make that mistake at the end of the day, I don't have anything to fear. I have an insane lawsuit worth billions of dollars. Because the reason why, because the government went in and gave me a copyright registration number that didn't belong to me. It belonged to somebody else. Do you have any idea what that lawsuit would be worth at the end of the day? And if that was the case, then they would have never filed this. They would have caught that right from the door before it went any filed and said, Mr. Burr, we made a mistake. Maya had that copyright for 4 years. We made a mistake, and somebody else has your copyright, so and so and so, blah, blah, blah. It'd have been a whole freaking fiasco. I'd have been online talking about it. But since there's nothing happened in 4 years, all of a sudden, you find out that somebody else has it the minute you got to go to court. Yeah, stop lying. You lied too much. So this is where we beat the claim at. So when you register your copyright, you can go to copyright. Right over here, you get all your information from here. And I've had mine for quite some time. Copyright records, registrations, right here. So no, Jamie, I own the rights to that. You can't get that ticket unless they do the search. They would do it on a patent search, they do it on a trademark search, they'll do it on everything. Anything that you push through that office, they have to do a detailed search to see who owns this at the end of the day. And you pay for that search. Mine's nationwide. So mine all over the globe, I'm the only one who owns the rights to that. That's why when you take that name and you back hit it, I'm the only one that comes up. Nothing comes up but me. You, on the other hand, you don't own the right to your name. I can literally put a copyright on you right now and take your name from you. You don't own it. And on top of that, Black Series not only has a copyright, but also has an LLC and a license attached to it. So let's go over here to the copyright office here. Let's go to copyright records. There you go. Now you see that little area right there? I can't stand when people at the end of the day talk stupid. That's what he was ranting in there when he was making the recording for courts. He was ranting about the heart that you saw. Oh, somebody owns it. No, buddy, we own that. Because the statement that you're making is that the United States government gave me a registered copyright when somebody else owned it, even though we paid for the search. Do you have any idea how big a lawsuit that is? And I had it for 4 years? Yeah, sure. But remember, when I see you in court, you can explain this conspiracy theory to the judge. Don't explain it to me. You explain it to the judge. Don't explain it to YouTube. Explain it to the judge. Now we're going to put in our name under Crystal Witch. Let's see. Let's get that back in there. Crying. Always scared about something. Just face it like a man. Get it over and done with. Boom. There you go. That's me. There's my registration right there. Crystal Age Technology Screens. That's me right there. There it is, visual. That's the type of work right there. There's my company name again. There's my name, date of birth. There's my address where I used to live at. All my registration right there. There's the date it was created right there, 2016 when I created it right there. Visual authorship, that's me. I'm citizenship, United States authorship, 2D artwork. Yeah, that cube, that artwork belongs to me. That's mine. So if somebody goes out and they put a little heart on it, whatever, guess what? I can go contact them and have them remove that and sue them because that belongs to me. It's mine. Unless the government went out and did all that work, filing fees, my lawyers and all that, took care of all that work right there, gave me that registration number right there to find out that somebody else had that before me. Do you have any idea how much I can sue for damages? So I pasted this up also on my YouTube videos. It's on freaking containers on our freaking website. It's everywhere. I'm gonna have to go in and change all that, alter everything. Oh, that's a lawsuit. That's a very serious lawsuit. A very, very serious lawsuit. And I don't think the government made a mistake. I think they did a proper search and they gave me that information. I've had that since 2016. Stop lying so much on camera. Seriously, man, you sound like an idiot. Let me show you the conversation. He's an idiot. Jamie's one of those people, he swear, I don't know how his brain functions, but he feels if he tells you something long enough, you're going to believe it. You don't understand how the world works first. Let me tell you something first. Before you start running your mouth about, how about you get a copyright first before you start acting like you know what copyrights are? Crack a book, for goodness sakes. So I'll share our conversation. I'm going to make sure I make a copy of this to send this to the judge so you can explain to the judge what copyrights and how they work. When we're all sitting there having this conversation, you can explain to the judge how someone else has one. Oh, I would love for you to do that. Oh, please do. Please go into court and say, oh, somebody else got the name. Don't do that. It's called hearsay. You have to have evidence. That means you're accusing the United States government at the end of the day of basically making a, well, you know, everybody makes mistakes, but you're accusing them of making that kind of mistake. That's not going to go well without evidence to prove it and back it up. You ain't got a leg to stand on, buddy boy. So let me show you his accusations. He went and tried to delete it. Let's see if he tried to delete it. Let's see. Right here. Oh, he started deleting it already. He started deleting it. Look, the message, he really started deleting it already. Okay, let me see. Where's the cube at? Dude, he got rid of the cube. I told you Jamie erased his stuff so fast, so quick. He's a coward at the end of the day. Look, he erased that message. It's no more. It's more. Remember we saw the cube up there? It's gone. He took it out. He's not. At the end of the day, I can tell you something. He acts like he's big and bad on camera. But deep down inside, he's terrified. Where's the cube at? We just saw that there, a cube with a pink, a purple cube with a heart in it. Where did he go? He got rid of it. He removed it. Look, not even there anymore. Where did it go? Jamie, where did it go? You deleted that fast? Where's that cube at you had over here? What happened to it? Why'd you got rid of it that quick? Why? Post, do me a favor. Post my what you call up there right now. Post my my copyrighted what do you call it, the my black series label. Post it. See what happens to you. Go touch my label. Go get my label and put it up there and see what happened to you. You're already getting sued again. He removed it that fast. I told you. Coward. Runs his mouth, talks a whole lot of trash. No, buddy. We own the right to that. That's mine at the end of the day. You violated my copyright, and I'm going to sue the daylights out of you. Came in and tried to post it because we're live on camera to try to show off, and then turns around and removes it that fast. Let's see. Let's put in, where's my cube at? Look at it. So he says he's going to destroy me one more time. How are you destroying me? How does that even work? Your products on your website are house paint, which we can all prove that at the end of the day. You're stealing images from Google. You're being sued for basic copyright infringements. Whew. Everybody knows you've been scamming people for the longest time. So how are you destroying anybody? And on the other hand, my company is making money. I'm taking yours at the end of the day, and all you guys are going to probably end up going to jail over this nonsense. So where am I losing anything out of this? Nothing at all, period. On top of that, too, I forgot contracted. We got contracts. But anyway, yeah. As you can see, he removed the cube, which he had here, which was a purple cube. He removed it altogether because, again, he tried to make statements that at the end of the day that the government basically gave us a registered copyright when somebody else owned it. Yeah, that would be a very serious lawsuit, an extremely very serious lawsuit. Yeah, and if that was the case, and since I've had it since 2016, I think someone would have contacted me by now and said, hey, look, I'm all over YouTube with that cube. If you notice, I'm all over the place. So how could they miss me? There's nobody where they could have missed me. So they would have contacted me by now. I would have been in court a long time ago, and I would have sued the government a long time ago for making a big mistake. So since no one has contacted me since 2016, yeah, that's on you crying to me. Again, you don't have to prove this to me, Jamie. You have to prove this to the judge. You have to prove that we gave you permission to touch those copyrights, that you had the rights, that you were entitled to do that, and you weren't entitled. Let's educate Jamie a little bit here. Let me see. Cannot wait to go to court on this. We have no idea, people. Let's play a little education video for you, Jamie. Make sure I got my sound up here. Let me speak this down a little bit here.
As a copyright owner, you have certain exclusive rights that help you control how your copyright protected work is used. U.S. copyright law provides owners of copyright protected works with 6 exclusive rights to use or authorize the use of your work in certain ways. In this video, we'll discuss these rights, why they are important, and what you can do if someone uses your work in a way that involves your exclusive rights. To start, what are your exclusive rights? 1. You have the right to reproduce the copyright-protected work in copies or phono records. For example, making photocopies of an article you've written, prints of a photograph you've taken, or CDs of the song you've recorded. 2. You have the right to distribute copies or phono records of the work to the public. This means, for example, you have the right to sell your novel, upload your sound recording to a website for download, or pass out copies of your artwork. 3. You have the right to create derivative works based on or derived from your copyright-protected work. For example, translating your novel into another language, adapting your comic book into a screenplay for a motion picture, or creating a new arrangement of a song you wrote. 4. You have the right to display the work publicly, such as displaying your painting in a gallery, showing your children's book on a website, or posting a photo you took on social media. 5. You have the right to perform the copyright-protected work publicly, that is, performing your play in a theater, screening your movie in an auditorium, or performing a choreographed dance routine in a park. And 6, in the case of sound recordings, you have the right to perform the work publicly by means of a digital audio transmission. For example, streaming the sound recording online. These exclusive rights, however, do not last forever. Copyright in a work exists for a limited time, and once the copyright term ends, the work enters the public domain, meaning anyone has the right to use the work in any way they wish. So, why are these exclusive rights?
Now, that's particular in what copyright you file. Now, I file a particular copyright. When you basically get your form, they will tell you exactly certain things on what your copyright and what guidelines it falls under. If it falls over where you can have it, where I have mine set up where my copyright lasts as long as the author. So when I die, it's an additional 70 years after I die. That's how mine is set up. How long does a copyright last for? A copyright will last for, see where it says that 19, oh, it's always 19. Copyright lasts for the life of the author in an additional 70 years. I know copyright laws. So when I go into court and I have to file these against people, I know my work at the end of the day. I know what I'm talking about. Let's go back over here and finish that educational video for Jamie.
Important. If you're the owner of a copyright protected work, these exclusive rights can help you protect and make a living from your work. No one else can use your work in these ways unless they have permission from you, or their use falls under one of the exceptions or limitations described in the Copyright Act. For example, if their use of the work is a fair use or a protected educational use. In the case of joint works, which are works created by 2 or more authors, the authors co-own the copyright, and each owner has the right to exercise any of the exclusive rights.
So that means co-own. That means both of them owns the rights to that particular copyright because they both worked on this together.
Or authorize someone else to do so, subject to an accountant. That means, generally, if an owner licensing the the work earns royalties from the use, they must share those royalties with all of the co-owners, unless there is an agreement otherwise.
You might want to listen to this about the whole Frankenstein thing, because this also involves royalties too, that you have to pay out that money to them because you use their name and make money off of it. Now, keep in mind, the way I set up for my copyrights, they ask you, are you going to be the owner, the proprietorship, which I am, which means I don't share that with anybody. It's only with me. If I sign a contract, it's mine. It doesn't belong to anybody else but me. Only I have the rights to it. These are important things you have to know what you're understanding when you fill out those documents.
But what if someone uses your work without permission? If someone uses your copyright protected work in a way that you believe violates your exclusive rights, meaning they used it without permission or a statutory exception, that may be infringement. If you think someone has infringed the copyright in your work, you have several options to enforce it. One, you can send a letter to the person demanding that they stop using the work.
We sent that to you, Jamie. It's called a cease and desist letter. We sent it to you by an attorney. The attorney asked you not to touch our work or you're going to court. Did you forget about that? That also would be presented in court, that we gave you fair warning not to touch it.
Two, you can sue them for infringement in federal district court. To exercise this option, you will need to have registered your work with the Copyright Office.
Which means in order for us to be able to get that filing date, we have to have a registered copyright. Which means if somebody owns the right to that already, that means there'd be no way my copyright would have ever existed.
Or have received a refusal to register your work from the office. And three, for small claims of less than $30,000, you can file a claim against them with the Copyright Claims Board, also known as the CCB. In this case, you will need to either have registered the work with the office or have filed an application to register the work with the office. However, the CCB will dismiss the claim if the office refuses to register the work.
So that means if the office, say I filed for that cube, and say I have show a registration of it, but say they refuse it because somebody else has it, that means I can't sue you because I don't have a legit registered copyright. Because no one has it, and they don't have, when I filed, they didn't refuse it, went through for filing for court, that means that my copyright is legit. It is registered, it's a real deal. If it wasn't, somebody else owned it, I would have never gotten any of those documents. They would have never filed. They would have gave me a denial letter telling me that I don't have enough evidence to take you to court and I don't own the rights to copyright. This is where I get tired of proving you that you are a freaking idiot at the end of the day and don't have no contact with reality whatsoever. You don't have it. Like, you don't connect with it. This guy literally sat there and told me that somebody else owned the copyrights and he wrote to them and they contacted him and said they were suing me. How dumb are you at the end of the day? Do you understand how things work? Really? I mean, seriously, what's wrong with you? Oh, we're going to have a field day with you in court. We're going to have a field day with you. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anybody so detached from reality. This is how the real world works, Jamie. This is how it functions. Not in your make-believe fantasy fiction world. This is how it works. In order, this is from the government right here, right now. They're educational video. You're going to say they're a liar too? And you're right? Oh, wow, you got some problems on you. Even if I apply for an application for that 2D artwork and say somebody did happen to own that already, that means that my application would have been refused. I would have gotten that refusal before I even got a registration number. I would have never gotten a registration number because it would have came up. Do you have any idea how serious a lawsuit would be if they gave me a registration number and somebody else owned the rights to that too? I'm not getting in trouble for anything. I'm going to sue them for millions and millions of dollars. How would I be in trouble for anything? They're the ones who issued me the copyright. So all I did was just go in, fill out the forms, pay the money, send it in. And it was their job to search and figure out who had what and deny my claim. But since I have a registration showing that the copyright is mine, shows that they did a thorough, detailed search. That's why I came back a couple months later saying that you own the rights to this. It's yours. So with that being said, when I went to go file this, they would have refused it. Even if the letter came up saying that, hey, the copyright's not legit, it's a refusal, we can't use it. You have to have a legit copyright in order to file that charge against you. Dummy, I'll see you in court soon. Oh, by the way, mind you, willfully, which means here they say $30,000, but willfully if it shows that you went in and deliberately did this. This is the bare minimum, which means if you get caught on one and you can honestly say, look, I never got a letter from them. This is the first time this happened. They never gave me a warning. This would be 30 grand. All right. But if it shows that we did send you out a letter telling you to back down, if you've done this multiple times, which shows you willfully done this, you know what you were doing, it's $150,000 per offense.
To learn more about the benefits of registration,
let's go over that again. One part right there.
The CCB. In this case, you will need to either have registered to work with the office or have filed an application to register to work with the office. However, the CCB will dismiss the claim if the office refuses to register to work. To learn more about the benefits of registration and protecting your work.
So you have to have a registration in order to be able to get that filed, which I have right here, showing my registration number. Ta-da! That is mine. And I've had it since 2016. So if somebody else had the rights to that, I think I would have been contacted long ago. I'd have been sued a long time ago instead of that flipping around for 4 years. For some reason, when it's time to go to court and we're getting ready to get set up for court dates and everything, now you come up with this genius idea that you're going to tell me, a person at the end of the day that does know how to spell and knows what a 150-inch screen looks like at the end of the day. Trust me, you don't want to go down that road with that nonsense. But anyway, you're going to try to tell me, someone who owns 2 copyrights and you don't even have one, let alone how to fill one out, that how copyrights work. Are you kidding me? Apparently you don't know how they work. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Jamie, I'm not educating you anymore on this. No more on this. I'm not talking about this anymore. We're done. I'll see you in court. Have my money. Because, again, I am going to execute judgment right on the spot. It's about $150 to execute that judgment. By the time you make it back to California, I'm going to make sure I have your stuff. And what I've tallied up what you have already, your collection, I don't know what it's worth in appraisal, but it's no worth what you got to pay me at the end of the day. You're going to owe me a ton of money. Even if they hit it at 30,000, at 15, that's $450,000 you owe me. Your P2 projector, your speaker system, and anything else you have in there will not tally up enough to pay back what you owe me. So you better contact somebody in your family that got some money at the end of the day, because if you don't, that's going to collect with interest, and you have to pay me the interest on top of that too. We'll get ready. Buckle down, buddy. Second lawsuit's coming tomorrow. Oh, Mr. Matthew, on the 1st, we're filing. All right, gotta go.